Hi friends, it's Wilma, and welcome back. This is Flosstube number 2. Glad to have you here. And yes, I'm here to share my cross-stitching with you. I'm coming from Saskatchewan, Canada. It's Friday, September 5th, 2025, and it's only 50 degrees Fahrenheit out there. It is definitely fall. Before I start with Flosstube number 2, I just want to thank everyone who viewed, liked, subscribed my last Flosstube. Thank you so much. You were such a warm and welcoming and inspiring community. So before I start Flosstube number 2, I'm just going to give you a little summary of what we're going to talk about. I've got some previously fully finished products, finishes, WIPs, starts, haul, and shoutouts, and a cute little story at the end. So let's get started with the previously finished products. And some of these were done when I had a shop a number of years ago, but I'm bringing them out right now because it's September and it's time for fall stitching. So here we go. First one is Autumn, from Lizzie Kate, done on 14 count Ada. Another from Lizzie Kate, Thank, which you'll be able to keep up for a while since our Thanksgiving is in October. And here's another one, Haunted. I don't do a lot of Halloween. I do mostly cutesy ones, but I do a few Halloween items. So this was Haunted by Lizzie Kate, also on 14 count. And then I have this other Halloween by Tiny Modernist, and it's Happy Halloween on 14 count pewter gray. And I have one more to show you from Tiny Modernist. It's not a fall one, but since I was showing one Tiny Modernist, I thought I'd show this one too. And it's a freebie on her site, Home Stitch Home. So now that we've seen the previously finished items, let's move on to the finished items. And I have a board here. And here's my first one. And it is Stitching with the Housewives, Mrs. Claus, and Gingerbread. And I figure I will probably make that either into a flat finish or a pillow. And item number 2, and it was also in the WIP box last time, and it's now finished, is Crocette Gogo, and it's the nativity chart, and I am going to make that into a pillow. I had seen on their site a bigger nativity design, which I was thinking about, but I decided to do the small one first to see how much I liked it. So yes, I might be getting that larger pattern eventually. So that's it for the finishes. I'm now going to move on to a few projects that I worked on in my WIP box and got some progress on. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to move on to starts first. And my first start is from is a frill. It's a nativity frill. I'm going to be making this into a pillow to go with the Tiny Town Nativity. I'm going to be doing it on 14 count pewter gray, just like I did the Nativity Tiny Town. And I'm using the colors that are called for and that also were used for Tiny Town. And next is whoops, oh, I lost something. Lots of stuff here. I did another start. It is a Tiny Modernist start, and I made my own my own project envelope for it, and because I'll be working on this for a while. And it's a stitch along from Tiny Modernist. I'm just going to pull out some things and then talk about it. So I made a project envelope, and with that I also made a floss bed, and I had previously made a needle book. So I thought I'd just add it to it, so it will all go together. And I'm going to read from a paper I have because I got some notes from the Tiny Modernist website. So this stitch along is called Ho Ho Holiday. It's 14 weeks, and every week we get another part of the design. You can see the information for the stitch along on her site under stitch alongs. Click on the picture where you purchase the chart, and you can see all the details. One price for all 14 designs. They used on their model Twilight Blue 32 count linen, but because I'm not so much of a linen stitcher anymore, I chose to use 14 count Ada Pewter Gray. I am using the called for colors, except for there's a DMC Blanc, and I'll be switching that to B5200, but the others are Classic Colorworks Floss and Weeks Floss, and I'm going to use those. I was missing a few. I looked at the DMC conversion, but I decided to go with the Fancy Floss. So I put an order in with my favorite online shop, Knowledge and Needles, and they sent out today. They sent out the Fancy Floss that I was missing. So I'll just stitch around the designs until that floss comes in, and that shouldn't be that long. So that is the project. Can't really show you the picture because it's a PDF. But if you go to Tiny Modernist website, you could see it for yourself. And you could join in with me on this stitch along. I'd love to have you here. If you do choose to do that, please put a comment for this video to let me know that you also are stitching this project. So those are my two starts. So yes, so I did make some progress on some of my WIPs. I have a lot of WIPs, but I did work on 2 of them in addition to finishing those 2 designs. So the one I worked on was October Wordplay, and I have changed some of the colors. They're mostly, I've just changed the colors, I've just moved them around a little bit. So I'm mostly using the called for colors. And so here we go. I did harvest this week, and basically, because I'm really doing Christmas stitching, but I'd like to get this done, I am doing 1 word or motif a week, and that way I could have this done by October. And the other project I worked on was one of my birthday starts, and it was Log Cabin from Little House Needleworks. Let me pull out. Here's the entire project, and I am working on doing some of the borders. So I've got 2 of the borders done at the top, and I'm working on the 3rd one. So there you go. And let's pull it all out so you can see it. So yeah, so I'm working on the 3rd border and hoping to get that done soon. That would be nice, because I would like to move on pretty soon onto the actual motifs inside the border. So those are my WIPs that I worked on. And since, my WIP box is the same as it was last week when I was here, I thought maybe what I would do is I got my sampler WIP box from downstairs in my storage area. I brought that up, and I thought I'd show you what WIPs I have that are samplers. So here we go. Let's have a look. The first one, sorry for the zipper noise. The first one is from Blackbird Designs. It's from the Home for the Holiday book, and it is called Christmas Garden. I know many of you have probably stitched this already. So there it is. I have started this a few times because just unhappy with the fabric I was choosing, and it's I'm doing it on linen, 25 count, because of the eyes, and because I'm stitching more on 8 of these days, I don't tend to pick it up that quickly, but I really should, because I've got a lot of the border done, and I could make some progress, even if I just did one motif each time I picked it up. But anyway, we will get back to it eventually, because it is a very beautiful chart. Blackbird Designs does such a great job of designing. So that was number 1. So next one is from Brenda Gervais, and it is one that many people have done. Let me see. And it is Winter Rose Manor. And I am doing it on gray, although I started on another fabric, so I'll show you that too. And but let's first look at the floss. I changed the pink because I didn't like the pink that they chose. I felt it was too light for my fabric, so I have picked a Roxy floss. That's what incarnation, and it wasn't my idea. I saw another floss tuber choose this color too, and I thought it was such a good choice, so I bought some Roxy floss fabric for this project. So let me show you the first fabric I chose, which I did not stick with, which was, it was 14 count, and it was Vintage Country Mocha, and I just wasn't happy with it. So it didn't go with my decor. I like a little bit lighter beige color, or I also like blue. So I chose to do it on pewter, 14 count pewter gray. I often choose that color. And here it is. Here it is. When I work on it, I really enjoy it, but I get no squirrels. So I should really get back to it and work on it some more. I'll maybe have to make it a priority in one of these months coming up. Next is another Brenda Gervais, and this is, see, I like doing starts. Light of Winter, also Brenda Gervais. I think they refer to it, these two being like companion pieces. So this one I did do on Vintage Country Mocha. I just felt it was the right color for it. I didn't think gray was going to be good for it. So this is how much I've got done. Beautiful colors. Brenda Gervais picks such nice combination of colors for her projects. And I'm using the called for colors. Next is, this is the Scarlett house. And it's called Little Deeds Sampler. Little deeds of kindness, little words of love. Make our earth an Eden like the heaven above. How sweet, eh? And so I've done it on, I'm doing it on 14 count. I started it on a piece of linen, but I gave up on that. And I'm doing it on 14 count lamb's wool. And this is how I got done. And it seems a little weird the way I'm stitching it. I only stitch a little bit on each row, but I wanted to get it to the bottom so I could see how much fabric I had at the bottom. And I am doing it on, using the called for floss. Don't use the called for fabric, but I often use the called for floss. I love the fancy floss. I know it's more expensive, but it is really nice. So this next project, it is a Dutch sampler, and it is called C.C. Smith, a Dutch sampler by Scarlett House. And I am doing that one on linen because I started that a little while ago. I am using the called for floss, and I am doing it on a linen, and it's a flax 25 count over 2. So yeah, another case where I am not working on not working on it because it's a linen. And then here, this is from Little House Needleworks. And it is, Little House Needleworks did an ABC sampler series, 9 charts. And I've got all the chart, I got 6 of them done. I'm still working on RST, UVW, XYZ, doing it on 14 count Ada. XYZ has not been done yet, but I do have some progress on the other 2. So here we go. And also this one. So there we are. And what else do we have here? Oh yes, last year I started this stitch along with Jardin Prive, and it's a more of a modern type sampler. These are the colors. They're DMC colors, very pretty pinks and blues and greens and gold. And it is called Sampler O Medallions. And there it is. I bought it as a PDF. It was stitch along, and I did a pretty good job for a while, but then it went off the rails. And this is what it is. And it's all DMC cloth, which is nice. And I'm doing it on 14 count white. It's quite large. Let me see if I can make sure I can show it to you. There we go. And yeah, I'm hoping to get back to it. White 14 count Ada won't be hard to see. But anyway, that's that. And you know, I have a confession to make. This is not the first time I'm recording this video. And so there was another bag in here in my sampler box, but I can't find it right now. It's probably over on the other side there of the room. So I was trying different angles. Anyway, it was the sampler. You probably all have heard of it. GH 1857 by Soed. Idee. It's a beautiful Dutch sampler, and I've just gotten part of the border done. Why I wanted to mention, even though I don't have it in front of me, is because I got a chance to go to her store on a visit to the Netherlands a number of years ago. I had a cousin who took me to her shop. We had to drive halfway across the Netherlands, which really isn't that far. And my cousin took me there so that I could go to the shop. So I got to meet her, and I got to see her shop, which was delightful. So anyway, next time I'll show you that sampler and how far I've gotten on it. And it was my it was my birthday start for 2024. So that is the sampler box. I am now just going to look at my notes to see what's next. Next is haul. So I have a number of things in haul. I already showed you or talked about my PDF from Tiny Modernist, which I purchased this week, and I'm going to start. I then bought a few items from Amazon. Since moving here, Amazon and me have become friends because there's a lot of shops that aren't here in town, including Michael's and some others. And so I depend on Amazon. So anyway, one of the things I bought are these ID cards, these acrylic ID cards, and I put them on my project bags to identify what WIP it is, because I prefer all fabric bags. This is my second box, not my first box, but I also can't take credit for this idea. Another Flosstuber that I watched also did this. So I don't remember the Flosstuber, but not just my idea. And then I also bought, like many of us are buying, is the jewelry box. I haven't fixed it up yet. I'm thinking of taking one of the stitching rules charts and doing just a small motif from the stitching rules and putting it on there and then putting some ribbon on. Right now, all I have in here is some needles, some of these rings for my floss tags, a corner gauge, and yes, a B5200 floss tag. And then up here, it was my birthday in August, and one of my cousins in Alberta sent me this old chart called Stickmeister Bruch, B-U-C-H. It says number 983, embroidery pattern book, and it's from Germany. It looks quite old. She sent it to me because she thought I would like it because she knows I cross stitch. I don't know. It could have been from my grandmother, my Oma, or she might have just found it in a thrift shop. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to find out and ask her. But for now, I'm just going to keep that in this box too. And hopefully very soon, well, somewhat soon, I will be able to finish off this jewelry box. So those were two great things of haul. But really, the best piece of haul was an item I bought from Paisley and Polka Dots. And for me, it was an extravagant purchase because it costs more to ship it than it does to pay for it. But sometimes I just think getting the displays that are shown, that the cross-stitch designers or cross-stitch patterns show, it's worth it. So, and I felt a little bit of FOMO. So yes, I have the date in. And I've got this pillow in right now. It's a cubby, seasonal cubby. And I also saw it on Mrs. Smith's Flosstube too. And so for now, I put this one in. And you're going to ask me what design this is, I'm sure. This is from Cottage Needleworks. And there was in the design, there was something on top and I left that off. And I just put Noordwijk underneath, which is a Dutch beach that I used to visit often when I went to the Netherlands. So, and to give me a memory of those times. So that's what I have in there for now. And just to talk for a minute about things we use to finish off our cross stitch, because there's no Hobby Lobby here and I don't have a Michael's in town, I have to rely on Walmart and dollar stores. So, and I've done that in the past, but never totally satisfied with my finishes. So I'm thinking that it's probably going to be worthwhile in the future occasionally to buy some kind of display system, even if it's from the US. So I have bought some things in the past from Fat Quarter Shop for finishing, and I got some Chantelle 141 design items, and thankfully for the Chantelle items, I've been able to get them from a cross-stitch shop in Canada. So that's great. And in the future, I will show you some of those finishes when they're completed. So that's, one more thing for haul. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. I got it from a Facebook de-stash group for Canada, and it is a Marlene Bastian from Lenarte, a chart. Lenarte normally does kits, but there was a time when they were doing some charts. So this is the chart, and yes, I'm not going to be doing it right away, but I will do it eventually. And I also got this other one from another person on the de-stash site, so I'm waiting for that one too. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'm just going to look at my notes for a moment. Oh yes. New thing about me. Last Flosstube I was talking about that would do a new thing about me each Flosstube, so you can get to know who I am and who I am as a stitcher. So last time I talked about the fact that I used to have a cross-stitch shop in Ontario. So this week I wanted to share something a little bit more personal. I have an immediate family that's quite small. My parents and there was me, and then I had a younger sister. My younger sister was mentally and developmentally handicapped. She was nonverbal, couldn't walk, couldn't feed herself, so she was dependent on us. While she was living at home, she was dependent totally on us. And she was 4 years younger than me, and she died just before her 25th birthday. And after she passed away, I wanted to do something special in stitching for my parents, especially for my mom. So I found a chart that wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I converted it a little bit, and I'd like to show you that to you. I'd like to show that to you now, and I'm just going to get it. So this is it. So just it was something I did in the 80s, so there wasn't a lot to choose from. Not like the samplers or Remember Me charts that we see now. And this was basically all I could find in the area where I was living. So this is it. And it says, shared memories, ours to treasure. Then I have my sister's name and the date she passed away. And if you look closely, there is a lot of straight stitching. Thank goodness we don't have so much of that anymore. So my mother kept that in the living room for many, many years, and my mom and dad have passed away now. So now I have it in a special place in my home, so I can also remember my sister. So next, shout-outs. I just wanted to shout out a few people that I've been watching. The first one is Lori from Once Upon a Stitch. I love seeing all her charts. I'm so happy there's other people who stitch a lot of different things. And I also enjoy seeing her finishes. She's much better at finishing than I am. So that's one that I love to watch. And another one I've watched a few of her videos is Fiber and Floss Canada. It's Erica. And I especially enjoyed the video that was called, let me have a look, How to Stitch in Hand, where she talked about different types of cross stitching. There was Danish, English, and Victorian. So that was very interesting, and I found out that I did do Victorian stitching. But I also now stitch each X one at a time. Not just for Fancy Floss, but for DMC too, because I just find, I know it's a lot slower, but I just find that my X's look much nicer when I do one X at a time. So that's what I do. So, and then there's a few other people I wanted to shout out. Paisley and Polka Dot, because she sent me the cubby to Canada, and I got such great customer service. It came quite quickly. So thank you very much, Paisley and Polka Dots. And then Fat Quarter Shop and Chantelle 141 Designs. I just wanted to shout them out. They both do floss tubes, but what I love about them is that they have items that we can use when we're finishing off our cross stitch. So I enjoy watching Kimberly at Fat Quarter Shop because she too stitches on 14 count. So I love watching her, and I appreciate all the items that Fat Quarter Shop brings in to help us finish things, especially those different round items that she brings in. And then Chantelle 141 Design, I appreciate all the items that she makes too, and happy that I can get those from a cross-stitch shop in Canada. So, towards the end here, I have one other thing I wanted to do. I wanted to tell you a funny story. We all have mishaps that we do when we're stitching. So this goes back to when I had a cross-stitch shop. And I would always bring a bag with me with a project in it in case I had a little bit of time. Or I also had a Tuesday evening stitching group and a Wednesday afternoon stitching group. So I would have a project for that time too, if I was able to stitch. So there was one night, my husband and me were in a hurry to leave, and so I closed up the shop. I got my bag with my project, and I also had a bottle of water with me. And oh yes, I did it. I put the bottle of water in the bag. I made sure that the top was closed properly, but I guess these water bottles, the tops aren't always completely sealed. So later on in the evening, I got home, and yes, there was water on my project. It was a pretty blue Ada, and it was fancy floss. And there was red and there was green and I don't know what other color there was that had smeared through because, yeah, fancy floss isn't color fast. So I tried to fix it. I couldn't. I showed it to some of my regular customers and they said, "Oh, Wilma, it's okay. It won't show up that much." But no, I wasn't happy with it. So yes, I threw it out. And to this day, I still haven't done that design. I really should. But here, I'll show you what design it was that I was working on. It was a Lizzie Kate, and it was the 6 fat men. It wasn't one man. It was all 6 I was trying to do. And I had gotten about 3 done and some of the border. And so this was what I was doing. So maybe someday I will restitch it. But just looking at this chart just reminds me of the mishap I did. So, moral of the story, when I put a project in a tote bag, that is the only thing that goes in the tote bag. Snacks, water, they go in a separate bag. And that is the moral of the story. So, if you'd like this video, it would be great if you would like it or subscribe. And thanks for visiting with me again today. And I look forward to seeing you again. And happy stitching till next time. Bye.